For this project, we are going to plan a vacation. But before we get into the details of planning a vacation, I want to talk with you a little bit about the project life cycle itself. When you're working in a project, as we've come to learn so far in the items that we've worked on, the first step is your project definition document. The purpose of this, even if it is a quick email out and a return email that says yes, you're good to go, or if it is a formal document that all parties sign and agree to, the project definition document makes sure that everyone is on the same page for the project. For example, if you have a construction company and someone hires you to renovate their kitchen, you would not want to jump in on the project until you have laid out all of the details, including the budget, the timeline, who's going to work on what, and what the finished item will look like. And you want to get this at least informally, the basics down, so that you make sure that they're not anticipating a cost of $2,000 and you're expecting a cost of $22,000. Once you have everyone on the same page in agreement for the basic details of the project, then you're ready to move on from your project definition document to your work breakdown structure and project schedule. The work breakdown structure is your Gantt chart that shows the relationship between the different tasks that need to be done. What can be done simultaneously, what has to be finished before something else can start, etc., etc. Then your project schedule is the list of tasks overall assigned to specific people and the dates that apply accordingly. The nice thing about Gantt project, and more importantly the nice thing about Microsoft project that I don't make you guys buy because it's ridiculously expensive, is that it ties the WBS and the PS together. So you can list the person's name, you can list the task, you can list the timeline, and because you can do pretty much those same basic functions in Gantt project, the free version that I have you using, it at least introduces you to the program. And because that is the industry standard, I want to make sure that you're comfortable entering information. One of the limits with Gantt project, the one that we're using, is that you can't get down to hours or minutes for a project. You have to go by days, which isn't a big deal because it works just fine for this class. The process for entering information is the same as it is for Microsoft Project. So should you go into a company where Microsoft Project is necessary, you would be able to hit the ground running and be able to list on your resume that you can use Microsoft Project. So once you have down your work breakdown structure and your project schedule, you're ready to write your project plan. And remember that this is the very detailed outline for everything having to do with your project. We had a couple of terms ago, we were lucky enough to have Roadwork Ahead as a guest project coordinator in the project management class, and they showed us one of their project plans that they had to use when Washington Street in Twin Falls was being resurfaced. It was 2 8.5 by 11 books, approximately 3.5 inches thick each. Every detail of every task was spelled out, which is important. You're dealing with a lot of different people, a lot of different agencies, state, federal. You want to make sure that everyone understands very clearly what their role is and how they fit into the bigger picture. So your project plan is of critical importance. In the plan that we're going to do today, or that we're going to start today, the vacation plan, you'll actually take it to the next level. You'll be implementing the project. So in week 1 of this project, you'll do the project definition document, the WBS and PS, and the PP. And in the second week of this project, the vacation project, you will write a project report. And that will be your implementation of the project itself. We'll review and revise a different project so that we can have walked through one or more times through each of the cycle steps in the project life cycle before the end of this class. So enough of this, let's get into the fun part. Let's plan a vacation. So for this, we're going to do a little role play. I come to you and you are a travel agent. And I tell you that I want to explore Idaho and maybe northern Nevada, and you continue with questions. What are your goals? What are your objectives? Well, I would like for you to develop a report that details 5 to 7 locations to visit in either southern Idaho or northern Nevada. And that way, my family and I can look through them, see which ones we find interesting, and explore. You would ask another question. So how will you know that the project report meets your needs? Well, there's enough detail that all stakeholders show interest in at least 2 of the selected locations. Okay, you continue on with your questioning. What are some of the limitations or challenges that we need to consider? Well, the only month that I have available for this is July, so all of the activities that you come up with need to fit just within that month. Oh, and my car isn't the most reliable, so of course this whole thing is dependent on me having a running vehicle. You go on. Are there any other specifications that I should be aware of? Yes. We only want to travel by car. We don't mind staying in hotels. We do need 2 rooms wherever we go. And our budget for this project is $2,500. So by having me tell you that I want to travel by car, you know that air travel is out of scope specifications. And something that I didn't tell you directly, but that still falls out of your out of scope specifications, is that it's not up to you either to make sure that I have a running vehicle, and it's not up to you to make sure that I know where car repair places are located. That's outside your scope. Then we get into the assumptions, and this is an item that you'll use to market your finished product to me. So you would share something along the lines of, I'm so excited to be working on this project with you. The finished report that I will deliver will include detailed information for each location we select for you. It'll include pictures, the costs that are involved, contact information, and will even include some information as to why we chose those specific spots for you to visit. Well, now as the customer, I'm even more excited because I'm seeing a really cool finished product for me to receive. Whether I raise that there's a constraint, or you may have to ask me if I don't mention it. But at some point I would need to share, oh, by the way, one of the people traveling in our group uses a walker. So each place visited must be handicapped accessible. So your mind is spinning, you're already planning this, and you ask, well, can you give me a little bit more information about the people who will be traveling? You bet. I share with you. Well, there are 4 of us. 73, 71, 48, and 25. We've got 3 different generations, and everyone is new to Idaho. So we haven't really done any travel. Everything is new to us. So you sit there for a little bit and you think about how you might best approach this project. There's a wide range of activities you can do. There's also a wide range of ways to be able to set this up. You could go to Southern Idaho Tourism on their website, pick 3 spots, write it up, be done. You could go in and do manual searches. Or you could base it upon places that you visited and have enjoyed over time. Or maybe a combination of all of the above. Whatever you choose, you're going to settle on some way to be able to approach this project and narrow it to that format. Then you're going to write up the finished project that you've discussed with your client, and that becomes your project definition document, because you don't want to go to all of the trouble of doing all this research, snagging pictures, creating this beautiful report, unless you know that everyone is in agreement basically and you're signing a contract that you're ready to move forward. Once your PDD is finished, you're ready to work on your work breakdown structure and your project schedule. You're very welcome to use Gantt projects so that you can put both together in one document. Remember that the work breakdown structure, project schedule, and project plan are the how you will put your project together. This is not the project report. So there won't be a whole lot of detail on any one of these three items. You're not listing the places that will be visited. You're just including a line item that says determine 5 or 7 places to visit. That's the line item, or one of the line items. Once you have your work breakdown structure and your project schedule in place, and if you have more than one person on your team, your project schedule would include who's responsible for what details, and the timeline would also be included. Remember that Gantt project doesn't let us get less than a day for a project, so you'll have to assign a day at least to get things done. Then you'll be ready to do your project plan, and as a reminder, this is the how you will put your project report together. If you are the travel agent and you were assigning an intern to write the project report, what would you write in the instructions for the project plan? You want them to do the research, you want them to take the pictures, you want them to find pricing and travel information, etc., etc. So what would go into the project plan are your instructions in the format assigned so that they can complete the document. Then in week 2, the second week of the project, you'll put your project report together, and that's your project deliverable. And this is the equivalent of a finished project or a finished item that you would sell to a customer if you were a travel agent. So it needs to be attractive. It needs to include detail. I will be grading on a rubric. 50% is for the project quality. So your report should clearly demonstrate at least 10 hours of work, not including the support items that you put together. It will meet the project report requirements that include pricing, activities, hours, location, ADA compliance, etc. for at least 5 separate places. I'm going to be looking for detail as well as grammar and spelling. Your report needs to follow APA guidelines, including in-paper citations. The other 50% of the rubric is for creativity. Yes, it's easy to take the first 5 items you pull off Google, copy, paste, submit, but it will show and your grade will suffer. I want to be able to see that you took time to explore activities and provide details. Include images for each location and support items that increase the visual appeal of your report. If you have questions, let me know. I look forward to reading your papers.